but I changed the key, I changed right. We can. Man. I think I'm on mute. No. What's the sound? Warm. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking this time here to join us today. I'm Jerry, and I'll be the moderator for today. So today's webinar title is COVID-19 Devastating Impact, Digital Divide, and Uncertainty of What's Next for Schools and STEM Challenges, and also CSR Opportunities. The objective of this session is to address the citizens' uncertainty of the future of schools and to identify the challenges and solutions for students' access to online learning resources. And the third objective is to build the awareness of importance of STEM and its opportunities and challenges for our children's future. And last but not least, to encourage CSR, corporate social responsibilities, among corporate companies to reach out to the children in need to reduce the digital divide and also the STEM challenges. So without further ado, I'd like to share that by sharing this MIT Facebook page and also like it, we actually be providing first 50 for the JBL earphone. Okay, so you hear that? So just like and share the Facebook page, and we'll provide you a JBL earphone. All right. So now it's a pleasure for us here today to, and it's an honor for me to introduce our 5 wonderful speakers joining us. So first we have Tuan Haji Sofian Azmi, who is the Deputy Director Technology of Curriculum Development Division of Ministry of Education Malaysia. Thank you so much, Tuan Sofian. All right, so just a quick brief about Tuan Sofian itself. 26 years of curriculum development since 1994 until present, doing curriculum development. And also he graduated from the Middlesex University, UK, and completed his master's degree in IT from University Kebangsaan, Malaysia. His responsible is to develop technology curriculum in school and primary and also secondary level, as including ICT modules, design and technology, or we call it RBT, Reka Bentuk and Technology. Yep, and we also have basics computer science and invention of subjects at upper secondary level as well. So his current focus is very much on formulating future national curriculum for the IR 4.0, Industry Revolution 4.0, based on the current curriculum initiatives taking place in schools under 12 Malaysian plan. Yep. The next role is he's focusing also on the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation project, overseer informatics and data science education reform for digital, inclusive and sustainable society, which is a collaborative of 3 years project among curriculum experts from APEC members countries. Yeah, so thank you very much, Tuan Haji Sofian, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, so the next speaker we have here today is also from the Ministry of Education. He is Dr. Ihsan, and known as head of National STEM Center, and also the Deputy Director of Educational Planning and Research Division, EPRD. Yep. Hi, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining. All right. So his highest education achieved was completing PhD Data Environment Analysis, DEA, from University of Warwick, UK. And Dr. Ihsan has a huge passion in mathematics and has started his career as a mathematics teacher and in SMK Morotai Besar in Tawau, Sabah. Yep, since 1955. So after working almost a decade as a teacher, he then started his journey working directly under Ministry of Education, and some of the positions he holds, including Deputy Director of Basic Plannings, Analysis and Indicator Unit, International Research Unit, and started involving very much in STEM as the head of program assessment and now head of National STEM Center. Yep. So thank you so much, Dr. Ihsan. Right, for attendees and the audience, to show our appreciation to the speakers, you can also always give us a like as well, all right? And also give us some love as well. Yep. Okay, thank you very much. And so the next speaker we have here today is Dr. Sumitra. Dr. Sumitra, she is the Vice President and the Head of Digital Talent Development of Malaysia Development Economic Corporation, MDEC. Hi, Dr. Sumitra. Thank you so much for joining us. Yep. So we brief about Doctor. She's in charge of the digital talent development work established in 1996 and 1996. Sorry. And the Malaysia Digital Economic Corporation is tasked with organizing and leading Malaysia's digital economy forward. So Doctor spearheads digital and data talent development strategies for the entire talent lifecycle, aimed at nurturing a strong talent pipeline as well as securing continued career relevance for the existing workforce. Her past roles include holding leadership and advisory position in corporate responsibility and sustainability portfolios at DG Telecommunications and Telenor ASA Norway. Thank you so much, Doctor. So the next speaker we have today, is Mr. Ganesh Kumar Bangah. Yep. So he is the immediate past chairman of PIKOM. Thank you so much, Mr. Ganesh, for joining us. Yep. So Mr. Ganesh is a technology industry leader, all right, serial entrepreneur and also a startup investor himself. He is currently the immediate past chairman of PIKOM. And before this, he was the Ernst & Young E&Y Technology Entrepreneur of the Year, Malaysia 2012, and one of the Asian most influential people according to the Society magazine 2015. Wow. He's also was also recognized as one of the Southeast Asia top 30 tech founders by Tech in Asia in 2016 and was recognized as one of the most inspiring Malaysian technology entrepreneurs by top 10 of Malaysia. Awesome, Mr. Ganesh. Yep. So he founded Commerce Asia, an all-in-one e-commerce ecosystem in 2017 and grew Commerce Asia within 3 years to have a database of over 8 million SMEs across 7 countries with 61,000 sellers that sells up to 1.5 billion worth of products. Yep. So prior to founding Commerce Asia, he was the founder of MOL Global Inc. Or, I think that's very famous. You can see it everywhere. And where he served as a chief executive officer of MOL for 15 years since its inception and was certified by the Malaysia Books of Records as the youngest CEO of Malaysia public listed company when MOL was originally listed on the Malaysia Stock Exchange in 2003. Yep. So Mr. Ganesh is currently the member of Special Task to Facilitate Business, which is known as Bermuda, and also board member of Malaysia Global Innovation and Creativity Center, MAGIC. Thank you so much, Mr. Ganesh, for joining us. Yep. And last but not least, we have our fifth speaker, Mr. Anthony Ng, who is the CEO of MITstem International School, and also the organizer of this webinar as well. So Mr. Anthony himself graduated from University of Hertfordshire, UK, and also gained valuable experience in his career by leading different projects in TVET industry, both on local and international. And today, he is focusing very much on STEM, learning and implementation. He is currently managing MITstem International School, who is the first STEM school in Malaysia, providing a combination of academic and STEM learning with Industry Revolution 4.0 technologies. His vision and goal is to make STEM education and courses accessible to everyone, benefiting the educators and learners to create experts for the future. He's also managing MITstem Massive Open Online Courses, which provides academic and STEM learning online through their learning management system. So his parent company that he has been managing since in early 90s and 2000s. So it's a Malaysian Institute of Technology Economy, a professional training institute for IR 4.0 courses, which have trained more than 300 individuals from Fortune 500 companies and currently focusing on few government projects, including the official trainer for EIS per case retrenchment program and also HRDF insert and generate program. So let us put our hands together. So we can't put our hands together, but attendees, you can give them push a button of likes there and also show us some love through the Facebook buttons itself. All right. So attendees itself, I know that you will have a lot of questions when you actually join this, prepared before you join this webinar itself. So we have a couple of platforms running now, which is like Facebook and YouTube. So we can't really answer a question through there, but we actually have a specific platform to answer, which is called Slido. So you can go to www.sli.do, log into it, and key in the code MITstem. So you can actually post all your questions there, and you can even give your question a like there, so we can see your questions there. Okay, so the details are also on your left of the screen. You can check it out. Now, let us kickstart the session. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker of today, who is Tuan Haji Sofian, Deputy Director of Technology and of Curriculum Development, Division of Ministry of Education, to share his insights on the digital divide and uncertainty of what's next for schools. So let's give a thumbs up to welcome him. Hello.
Thank you very much, Jerry, for the introduction.
You're very welcome.
And also I would like to, on behalf of Curriculum Development Division, Ministry of Education Malaysia, I would like to also thank the organizer for this webinar. Discussing on this very important topic, talking about the pandemic which affects our education system. So members, the panel members, speakers, and also the viewers out there, I would like to share my presentation on this. So I shall start with this presentation. Okay, I would like to highlight on the an interview from Astro Awani to our Honorable Minister of Education last month, when he was asked about what is the ministry is going to do during this pandemic period of time. And during that interview with Astro Awani, he was actually presenting a survey done by MOE, and I would like to show some of the important data that we can share and also analyze on the what is actually our education system is facing during this pandemic, and how do we go about giving an alternative way in delivering education. And from that interview, we have actually done a survey on its 670,000 respondents with from the parents and also the guardians, also involving 900,000 students. And from that survey, it is found that the percentage of ownership of ICT devices is actually for computer pribadi or PC desktop is only 6% for students, and 46% of our students are having cell phones or smartphones. 5.76% is having tablets, and 9% are having laptops or notebooks at homes. And surprisingly, there are 36.9% of our students are not even have any devices at all. So meaning, if we look at this, it is actually total up to 329,918. So almost 330,000 of our students from that 36% is actually not having any devices at all. So that means this number is very alarming to us. Whereas we are talking about delivering, an alternative way during the pandemic times, But then we know at this point of time, there are actually more than nearly 40% of our students are actually could not have access to education. So in that note, so if we were to imagine if we have the total number of students in Malaysia, which comprise of 4.7 million students. So if we take that data from all these students, I think it goes the same thing. It will goes to 36% or 37% of our students out of 4.7 million basically are not having any devices at all. So that would amount to almost more than 1 million of our students. So this is very alarming to us, and definitely I would thank the organizer to talk about this because the topic is very much close to what we are discussing about this data. And when we look at what is the ministry was doing during the time where we started having our Vision 2020 in 1990s, and when we look at the MOE computerization program milestone, when we started computer in education program in 1995, that was the time where after more than 2-3 years when we launched our Vision 2020, we have started doing computer education where we offer computer literacy program, computer assisted teaching and learning, which we use courseware and any computer assisted learning materials. And also we also started doing education network, which means we link some schools using internet access at that time. So actually that was more or less 25 years ago, and we already started that. Although at that time this computer in education program is basically a pilot program. It is not a rollout program throughout the nationwide, but actually we started in a few hundred schools. And then later on in 1997, we know that we have this mega project on the Malaysia Super Corridor, and one of the flagship was actually the Smart School project. And at that time, while we are doing the computer education, the government has also introduced this big initiative that involving 88 schools nationwide, where it is another project of computerization where you give a total solution to the schools. And in the year 2000, we have also embarked in a very big mega infrastructure project where we actually produce or we develop computer labs in school throughout Malaysia. So at that time, I think in the year 2000, we have already started building up computer labs in schools, which comprises the whole of our schools, 10,000 schools in Malaysia. And that computer lab is basically to deliver what has the earlier computer education program, and also to top up the smart school projects to actually deliver the computer in education program throughout the nation in all schools. So that is where I think the government is actually trying to put a level playing field in all quarters of the communities, all quarters of our social population, to have access to the computerization project with regard to education. And you also might remember during 2003, we introduced PPSMI, which is the teaching and learning of science and mathematics in English. And that also another mega project. The government has spent billions of dollars in order to uplift the level of science and mathematics using the medium of English language. And with that policy, basically, the government has provide notebooks and also LCD projectors to teachers who are actually teaching the science and technology subjects throughout the nation, and also providing them training and also courseware, which is being developed at that time. So meaning to say, from the year 1990 to 2000, it's about 10 years, and we have already actually go to what they call it, gradually exponential big program, so that our nation is basically keep on doing digital learning for our education system. And at that particular time also in 2003, we have also increased our internet access to school by introducing the SchoolNet education network, which is at that time the Telecom Malaysia is being the provider, the big mega provider for the internet access to all schools. And later on, the year after that, since we have already done a lot of this computerization project within these 10 years, and that was the time MOE decided to actually train 100,000 teachers in all schools in Malaysia for teachers to undergo the professional development in using ICT in teaching and learning. So that means on top of PPSMI, where the teachers are being provided with notebooks and LCDs for them to deliver the teaching and learning in the classroom using technology, and at that the year after that also the government is introducing training program for our teachers. So that means 100,000 teachers is basically 25% or a quarter of our total teachers in Malaysia. So that means by now, since 2004, which already been around 15, nearly 20 years, 15 to 20 years, meaning to say those cohort of teachers has been actually now used to having computers or technology in school. And in 2008, another initiative has been brought forward to the education system, where we introduced EduWeb TV. It is a video streaming educational program, and this is an initiative where students and teachers can get video programs on their subjects in using computers to access through the internet line. And in 2010, this is actually a bit different from what we have been actually doing since 1995, where at that time the Ministry of Communication, Malaysia, has actually come up with an initiative to provide more than 1 million netbook distribution to students for the underprivileged families using the Universal Services Provision Fund. And that initiative was actually, incur the cost of about 1 billion ringgit. And from that initiative, basically, it is another initiative whereby it is, an effort to help our students in homes so that they can access whatever they learn in the school. So before that, we have not yet actually come up with any initiative to provide basically devices to our students in their homes. So that is why I think in 2010 that would be a leapfrog in terms of how we look into maximizing the way students access education from the use of technology. So lastly, in 2011, we have the One Bestari Net, where it is also another leap on our education delivery, where we introduce the virtual learning environment. And you see, as you go along, you can see that our initiative is basically has already covered the whole of the spectrum of using education through the technology in delivery. So after that, from 2011 to 2020 now, today, so actually we have given the time to to actually familiarize with the technology that we have already experienced throughout the years. And from my observation, I think the experience of this MOE computerization program is basically prepared, to move forward our education for the future. But then, if we look back into the the survey that 36% of our students are still now not having devices, that means our initiative in 2010 during the One Malaysia Netbook initiative has got to be, reinvent again, so that a student can have access to technology, because it has already been 10 years, and all these equipments has already, phased out, and students for the underprivileged should be given this opportunity to access education, especially during these pandemic times. And are we ready for change? Since we have already more or less quite confident in terms of we can actually move forward for this change in future. The technology is there. I think we need to also embrace this new concept of learning, because the COVID-19 pandemic has become the push factor in terms of making our education system change due to the time that we are facing now. And maybe this would be the also the time for us to change for the future, where I think we cannot already look at the back in terms of what we have already experienced. So what will be the new model for change? So I think number one is students will become more independent in their own learning. And I think this is the time where students has to be given, the opportunity to explore knowledge. And teachers should actually become facilitators of learning. And, knowledge should not come from them. Knowledge should come from whatever the students, induce, from whatever they explore through the technology, through the internet, through whatever learning materials that they have, and they can make sense to the understanding that they gain from their exploration. And number two is I think students has to be more exposed to more project-based learning, because while they are studying a very subject-based matter, but now I think it is time for them to actually integrate all these subjects into a very meaningful project-based learning, so that whatever they learn in their respective subjects, they can apply to a single approach of learning by doing projects. And thirdly, I think it is about time for the student have a choice in determining how they want to learn. Simply because students are different in nature. They are all different. Our children are very different. They have their own, likings, their own inclination, and even they have different traits. So I think it is about time for us to make change of this. But we need to give them the choice for them to actually explore their potentials in learning. And the next one is, of course, this is learning anytime, anywhere. And you cannot deny this anymore. I think it is not preaching it for many years, but then we really need to actually materialize this, make this to become a reality. It's not just putting technology there, but learning is not taking place. We provide technology so that learning can take place, and with regard to the learning style of the students, I think technology is the way for us to deliver the styles of learning. And the next one will be learning will personalize to individual students. Differentiated learning is already become known to all teachers, but then the amount of students that we have in our respective students in the classroom is already more than the teacher can accommodate. So I think to personalize learning should be very difficult for students. But then if we can make less student in the classroom, where teachers can manage the learning of individual students, then there will be an opportunity for our students to be more personalized in terms of their own learning. And I think during these pandemic times also, from the social distancing, there will be a time where when we reopen the schools, maybe a classroom with 40, maybe we can only put them only 15 or 20. So that is why I think this is the time where individual learning can take place even more efficient. While you have a social distancing in the classroom, with only 15 to 20 students in the classroom, then the teacher will be able to actually manage the learning for every individual. The next one will be students will be exposed to more hands-on learning through field experience, such as internship, mentoring projects, and collaborative projects. So this is the way maybe to look into learning is not only from the focal of school. We don't learn basically everything in school. We learn because children is facing the world. They're facing people, they're facing institutions. They go visiting everywhere, and they learn. So this is where I think we need to shift our focus on education. It's not basically based in school, but actually go outside from the school system. And this is why I think when during the pandemic times, when the students are at home, it is not that they are not learning. When they are at home, if we focus on this concept, I think when they are at home or when they are anywhere, they are actually learning. And the last one will be on the assessment part. Students will be assessed differently, and the conventional platform to access students may become irrelevant and insufficient. And that is true for the fact that I think when you have a technology, which is embedded to our system, I think technology become more efficient, technology become more intelligent, and it can do more than what the normal assessment or the traditional assessment is doing. I think some part of the assessment can be done through technology. So I think we have the opportunity to basically change, and it is up to us, I think, from the ministry side and from all other quarters of in Malaysia, organizations, institutions. If we work together, I think we can make this change. And also during this hardship of time, during the pandemic, COVID-19, I think there's also the silver lining there. We cannot be actually being down, because of this pandemic. But I think we need to look into what can we learn in order to improve our education delivery.
Exactly.
With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your sharing, Tuan Sofian. Yeah, wonderful insights. All right. So it actually took a little bit longer time, Tuan. Yes.
I'm sorry about that then.
There's no worries, but it's a really good sharing of the insights that you shared with the audience and us. Yep. So I think we'll just proceed with the next speaker first. We'll come back to the question later, Tuan.
Okay,
All right. Thank you very much once again, Tuan. So let's give Tuan a light. Thank you. All right. So the next speaker I would like to introduce here is Dr. Sumitra. All right. She's the Vice President of and Head of Digital of Talent Development of Malaysia Development Economic Corporation, MDEC. So, Doctor, come and share us with us what is the MDEC role and also initiative during this situation.
Thanks, Jerry.
Hi, Doctor. Yes.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much to MITstem for inviting MDEC to just share our thoughts and views. And obviously, I mean, this is a very unusual time, and it's really refreshing, by the way, to hear Tuan Haji Sofian's speech earlier, his session earlier, because I think it's great that the KPM is rethinking how education can be delivered. It's almost music to our ears, I think, to hear what he just said. So allow me to just share a little bit of perspective from my point of view. Yeah. So I think we are all familiar with this now, right? Maybe 6 months ago, not everybody would have been familiar, but today you probably all know what all this means. Except maybe the last one on the right, I'm not sure whether you know what that is. Maybe the younger generation might know, yeah, what that is. But we are all familiar. These are all the different platforms that we have been using to get online, yeah, whether it is to work or to learn or to celebrate birthdays. We even have a colleague in MDEC who got married, yeah, on one of these platforms. So we all are familiar, and and they're not new platforms. They've been around. If you think about it, Skype has been around since 2003. Even Zoom, yeah, which we are now almost has become a verb, like how Google has become a verb. We say Googling, Zoom is now Zooming, right? So it's already become a verb. But that's all just happened in the last 2 or 3 months. And so if you look at the data, this was a snapshot maybe about 3-4 weeks ago. If you look at the increase in the number of people who have been using this, yeah, more than 700% growth. I dare say it's probably reached more than 900% growth now. And this is just in Italy, yeah, not even the world over. But if you think of Malaysia, it's, overnight we're all on Microsoft Teams, Zoom, yeah, Google Meet, even more because it's free for everybody until September, and so on and so forth. The last one is House Party, and this is exploding in Europe and among the younger generation. So there are anecdotes like this, right? And in fact, my colleague Raymond, our CMO, even wrote an article, yeah, saying, is COVID-19 the CIO of the year? Because this is what it is, For years, I think, leaders and various stakeholders have been trying to persuade and convince, yeah, companies, industries, even the education sector to embrace digital transformation. But it's always been an uphill battle until now, until COVID, because suddenly you don't have a choice, right? And in this environment, then you may ask, what are the kinds of jobs that are going to be in demand? Because as we know, we are fortunate that the people who are speaking on this session, and hopefully many of us who are listening to this, we are fortunate because we have a job. But many people out there, their jobs have been affected, especially if they have been in jobs where it involves a lot of physical activities. And if you have to go digital now, it's probably a big challenge. And so, thinking about STEM, because today's topic is a really long topic that you guys at MITstem have. But if you think about the topic also talks about STEM. And that's why I wanted to show this, right? Because now with COVID and now with the whole acceleration of digital transformation across all sectors, I think we need to think about what are the future jobs, right? And it's of course hard to say what are the future jobs because technology and innovation cycles are getting shorter by the day, right? Even now as we speak, it's getting shorter and shorter. But we can sort of have a guide as to what it's going to be like. This one at least is not so much about the future, but even now, right? This is taken from LinkedIn's Emerging Jobs Report this year, 2020. And if you look at the top 10, and this is not meant to be limited to digital, yeah? So they were just looking at across the landscape, what are the top 10 emerging jobs? If you look at these 10 jobs, most of them, at least 8, have to do with digital technologies, have to do with STEM. Yeah, at least 8. STEM maybe even more, because even environmental officer you can say is STEM. So I would say 9 out of 10, with the exception of community manager, 9 out of 10 of this needs some form of STEM knowledge, right? And so if we are, I mean, if there are parents on the call, and many of us are parents, bear this in mind, right? As we guide our children, I think it's very important that we guide them towards STEM-related interests, yeah, and expose them that way. So this is something that MDEC has also been tracking over the years. And when I read, like, you know, various articles that have been coming out, not just prior to COVID, but even now, it seems to me that there are kind of 3 critical skills for the future, because people always ask, you know, oh, so jobs are changing. Like before COVID, everybody was saying 4th IR. I mean, that was like the buzzword, right? How are jobs changing? You know, what's going to be needed in the future? And then now with COVID, of course, the future is upon us. And so the question is, again, what are the skills? And I group it into these 3 groups. One is the technical skills, and that's a given. And that's where a lot of the STEM-related skills will come in, right? And we need to be across, right? From just knowing how to make a cashless payment, to buying things online, to selling things online, all the way to data science, AI, yeah? So it's a range of it. And then, of course, we also need to have not just technical skills, because that's going to be hygiene, but we also need to have social and emotional skills. We need to know how to interact with people. Just because we are online doesn't mean that we, you know, shouldn't show empathy, compassion. We shouldn't know how to, you know, we also need to know how to inspire people, right, to take action. So those things are important. And of course, the third, which is really important, is cognitive skills. And in Ministry of Education, I believe it's called higher order thinking skills. And this is really where the creativity, the critical thinking, and so on comes in. And, you know, it's really a package. So while we encourage our children towards STEM, we must make sure that they don't end up just as geeks, yeah? In the sense that they're well-rounded, you know, that they also have these socio-emotional skills, that they also have these problem-solving skills. And so what is the future worker going to face, right? And when I say future, you know, as I said, the future is upon us. So think about it as this is kind of like the going back into work, post-COVID world. This is what we have to be. And in fact, many of this was mentioned even by, some of this was mentioned by Tuan Haji Sofian. We have to be lifelong learners, right? We have to be used to having cross-functional competencies. If in the past we were marketing personnel, now we have to know digital, because digital marketing is something that is the default, yeah? We also need to be comfortable in analyzing data, because that helps us to target our customers better. So just because you're in marketing doesn't mean you don't need to have technical skills. You still need to have technical skills. You still need these cross-functional competencies. And the other thing is also because in this current scenario, in this current world, where we are all working on our own, literally on our own, in our homes most of the time, or, you know, remotely, this entrepreneurial sort of thinking is really, really important, where we're able to take risks, where we're able to innovate, try new things, yeah? That's really important. And it's for everybody, not just for people who want to become entrepreneurs. We also have to be comfortable that we're going to have multiple jobs, yeah? And that you know, the other thing is, as a future worker, you also need to be comfortable in working with automation, with data, and with AI. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, with digital sort of coming fast and furious, and you don't really have a choice, everything is going to be online. Everything is going to be on the cloud. And so as information gets stored on the cloud, there's more and more of it, more and more of us getting online, there's going to be massive amounts of data. And so the future worker, whether it's in HR or marketing or whichever, needs to be comfortable working with this. And of course, automation is a given, yeah, because even with a lot of these physical activities, to be able to do it now online, to be able to do it remotely, automation will have to play a big role. And the other thing that we need to get our kids used to and to help them to understand is that the world is changing even in the structure of the job. When we had jobs, or even when our parents had jobs, they may have had lifelong jobs. They may have had full-time jobs. You know, even us, we have full-time jobs. But going forward, a lot of jobs are going to be a contract. They're going to be a part-time or gig, yeah, gig jobs. So that's something that we really need to also prepare our future generation for, that they may not have a full-time job, and that shouldn't be sort of like the main ambition, yeah. At the end of the day, they need to be flexible and agile because the work structure is probably going to change. And in MDEC, of course, I know I'm running out of time. We do various things, but just, you know, suffice to say, what I've just shared is kind of like on our mind. And so we work with various partners, including Ministry of Education, including even PIKOM, yeah, which Ganesh is a part of, to try and see how we can address the entire talent life cycle. So we do a lot of work with Ministry of Education in the schools, Ministry of Higher Education in tertiary, the universities. We also now are getting into looking at how we can help the existing workforce. So for example, we just launched a campaign, Let's Learn Digital, with Coursera, which offers free online courses and professional certification to unemployed Malaysians until end of this year. So we do a lot of that, and this specifically because I think your target audience are more the K to 12. This specifically is just, I'm just going to show this one slide because it's an initiative that we have with MOE, initiative we're really proud of. It's called the My Digital Maker Movement, and this is about trying to get our students to be these high order thinking talent of the future, but from a computational thinking point of view. So this really is Haji Sofian, one of his babies, yeah, if I can say. He's been a prime mover, but we've also looked at it beyond just the school, because as he pointed out, children learn everywhere. So we have a network of partners, both from industry as well as universities, that are helping to move our children, not just from giving them basic exposure to the basic concepts in school, but then how do we nurture those who are interested beyond the school environment, yeah, through digital maker spaces, through extracurricular activities, yeah, and so on and so forth. And to date, more than 1.3 million students already in Malaysia are impacted. But as Haji Sofian said, many students are still left behind. They still don't have access, right? And so this is where, if we have corporates on the call, then I think we can look at what are the CSR opportunities. And there are opportunities, you know, a wide range of opportunities, which consists of, you know, if you have funds, yes, you can donate or rent tools as well as hardware, yeah. You can also donate software, yeah, and content to underserved children and so on and so forth, provide scholarships, internship allowances, yeah, and so on. Because internship now is not just something that's for the university students, it could also be for secondary school students, yeah, because we want them to be exposed to the real world sooner rather than later. So we have a whole host of social media platforms, and I can share this later. Do follow us. You will see all our programs there. And we are MDEC is also on social media. So My Digital Maker is on social media, so is MDEC. So just follow us, and if you have any questions, we can take it later. Thank you, Jerry. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Wonderful sharing there. All right. Awesome, guys. Now we'll just move on to the next speaker. But before I do that, let me just check a few questions on Slido. I do see some questions there on Slido. Okay. All right. So the first question here, yeah, will slides and recording of the video be made available? Yes, it will be made available. And for the slides, I understand that you need to fill up a feedback form. And once you fill out a feedback form, we actually share with you the slides. And recording of the video, you can find it on our Facebook page. All right. And there had been discussion on upgrading public schools' internet access, increasing the bandwidth. Will this takes place for the new normal post-COVID-19? So I believe this is to Tuan Haji Sofian. Tuan Sofian?
Well, should I answer this or
Yeah.
should I look at the question first?
Yes, I mean if it's not under your responsibility, it's yeah. But if you have some information or input on this, then yeah, you could answer on this.
Yeah, I think we can put on hold this first.
Yes. Okay, understand that. All right. So the next question: would MOE allocate funds and allowance to encourage parents to invest in laptop or tablet for online learning? I'm not too sure if you're you're the right person to answer this.
So, but these are all questions for the underprivileged, parents, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think if not, then they shouldn't have asking for funds.
Exactly.
So funds, so maybe these are the for B40 and below. So these are the things that I think it is understandable that they ask for funds and allowance. Yeah.
Exactly. Understand. Well, we will compile this and also send it to you. So probably you could share with your on the MOE side as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a lot of people been reaching out to MOE as well for this. Yes. And the one last question I'll take over is typical class size will be half. So will there be adequate enough teachers to actually handle more classes now?
Yeah, we still have to wait for how the teachers going to be allocated for their teaching, with regard to different classes sizes and things like that. So there will be the so-called SOP for that. So
yes.
we wait for that to be announced.
I see. All right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Sofian. I think for now we'll just go through this question. We'll go over the other question later on. All right. So yes, come back to the next speaker itself. All right. So our third speaker here today, we have Dr. Ihsan, who is the Ketua Pusat STEM Negara and also Penolong Pengarah of EPRD. And he will be sharing us on what are the cabaran and the kepentingan of STEM. So, Dr. Ihsan.
Okay. Terima kasih. Pertama sekali saya ucapkan terima kasih jemput saya mewakili Pusat STEM dan EPRD lah untuk berada bersama dengan ahli panel yang lain ya. So, jadi saya nak share saya punya skrin ini.
Alright.
Boleh nampak?
Belum lagi.
Now ada?
Yes, now ada. Doktor boleh masuk full screen. Yes, sudah full screen dah. Okay. Silakan.
Of course, during this pandemic, we are having a lot of challenges, especially in STEM education and also other subjects. But before that, let me maybe explain a little bit about our initiative of STEM education. So even before this pandemic, we are actually struggling with our STEM education. Now we are already in our fourth industrial revolution, and there are a lot of technologies emerging, and because of that, there are change in our jobs landscape, and because of that, students need STEM-based skills. We have to prepare our students with STEM-based skills. Ya. Kita selama ni mostly kita banyak bercakap pasal pencapaian murid, their performance in examination, but actually it's high time for us to talk about their competencies, apa yang mereka skills ataupun competence yang mereka patut dapat lah. Jadi because of force IR ni memang kita dah kena bergerak ke arah menyediakan murid-murid ni kepada perkara yang baru. As mentioned by World Economic Forum, jobs landscape in 2022, the top 10 emerging, we can see that number 1 is data analyst and scientist, and then AI and machine learning specialist, and then general and operations manager, and so on. So out of 10, I think 7 to 8 are about technologies and STEM, as mentioned by Dr. Sumitra in her presentation tadi. And because of this, we need to prepare our students with different kind of skills. According to World Economic Forum, the first one is analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, creativity, originality, initiative, and so on. So when we look at the first 3 or even the first 5, mostly it's about thinking, analytical thinking, critical thinking. So mostly we at school, we mostly prepare our students to ensure that they can excel in examination. But can we ensure that they can think analytically by just doing that? So that was the challenges that we are facing even before this pandemic. Even though we know that we have to prepare our students to become, to be able to think analytically, to be able to think creatively and innovatively, but we have constraints because we have to prepare our students to ensure that they can get excellent result in examination, and yet we have a time constraint. We have a lot of syllabus that need to be covered and so on. Based on our discussion and that has been agreed upon at the Ministry of Education, this is the STEM education concept that we want to make sure to ensure that all of this can get. It is called lifelong learning, which encompasses integrated formal learning for STEM based on curriculum, non-formal learning via co-academic or co-curricular activities, and informal learning via indirect means at every age level. So this is the STEM education concept. Konsep ni nampak macam bercakapnya senang lah. Easier said than done lah kita nak buat semua ni, tapi nak bagi betul-betul dapat tu it's not that easy, especially dalam dengan apa yang kita sedang alami di sekolah. Tetapi tiba-tiba berlaku pandemik ini, COVID-19. So to me, we are actually being given a very good opportunities to change, because as I mentioned earlier, we have to prepare our students to excel in their life, not just to excel in examination. But previously, we worked too hard to ensure that our students excel in examination. Our teachers are very hardworking. They work really hard, and they prepare everything. And because of that, our students, they don't have to think that much. They just wait for their teachers to give them everything. So now, especially when our minister announced that there will be no UPSR and P3 this year, so this is a very good opportunity for us to really go for STEM education. And of course, we have to prepare our students to have these 4 critical skills, 21st century skills: critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication. Saya pasti semua kita aware tentang ni, 4K 1N kalau di Kementerian Pendidikan. Tetapi sebagai orang yang melaksanakan STEM di Malaysia ni, saya dapati kebanyakan kita lebih kepada bercakap saja tentang ni, tapi nak betul-betul melaksanakan itu adalah sangat sukar. Of course, again, we are facing problem with to ensure that our students can get excellent result in examination. So benda macam ni walaupun kita tahu kena buat, tapi in the end tak dapat nak buat dengan betul-betul. So dalam keadaan sekarang yang tidak ada perpisahan, sepatutnya kita dapat gunakan peluang ini untuk membolehkan anak-anak kita dapat yang dikatakan 21st century skills ini. So untuk membolehkan anak-anak kita dapat skills ini, kita ada learning from framework yang saya senaraikan di sini ada 5. Sebenarnya ada lebih lagi daripada ini, tapi saya just senaraikan 5 dulu. Kita kena bagi experiential learning. Maknanya anak-anak kita ni kena belajar dengan cara dia mengalami perkara tersebut, experiential learning. And then innovative learning, meaning dia belajar sesuatu dengan cara yang berbeza, yang inovatif. Teach concept, not procedure. Inquiry based learning and learning by doing. There are more, but I just want to focus on these 5. So first, experiential learning. Kita bawa students kita ni pergi ke luar, kita minta dia buat sesuatu supaya dia dapat pengalaman. Tapi dalam keadaan sekarang, dalam tempoh PKP, sebenarnya di rumah pun boleh buat. As long as they do something, they experience it on their own. So this is very important. From there, dia akan dapat belajar. Jadi contohnya dalam tempoh PKP ini, Pusat STEM Negara ada buat bengkel dalam talian, syoknya teroka ilmu di rumah. So dalam ada 17 bengkel sebenarnya sekali. Contohnya di sini adalah tentang macam mana kita ajar murid tentang organisma, mikroorganisma dengan mereka membuat kuih pau oleh Cikgu Zazul. Ada yang belajar matematik tapi dengan cara dia membina ketuhar solar dan sebagainya. Jadi melalui pengalaman yang mereka lalui tersebut, mereka belajar dan mereka lebih memahami apa yang mereka pelajari. Kemudian the second one is innovative learning. Alat yang ditunjukkan di situ dinamakan sebagai Google Glass. Sebenarnya tak mahal Google Glass ni, kita boleh dapat dengan harga mungkin dalam beberapa puluh ringgit saja. Tapi melalui Google Glass ini, our students they can see things better. Macam kita pakai VR lah, virtual reality, tapi kita sambungkan dengan kita punya phone. So ini untuk yang low cost punya, tapi at the same time kita boleh bagi peluang kepada murid kita untuk belajar dengan cara yang inovatif. And then the third one tadi, dalam matematik kita kena teach concept, bukan prosedur. So dalam matematik ini diberikan oleh Profesor Padu Cheshire. Contoh ni diberikan oleh Profesor Padu ni dalam webinar beliau baru-baru ni. Contohnya kita ajar pembahagian dalam matematik. 4 bahagi setengah, kita kata 4 bahagi 1/2 tu, 1/2 kita kena bahagi tukar kepada darab, dan 1/2 tu kita terbalikkan. Saya sebagai cikgu matematik pun dulu saya buat macam tu juga. Just hafal. Saya pesan kat student, kalau macam ni, kena buat macam ni. Tapi itu sebenarnya adalah prosedur. Student tak faham konsep. Jadi sepatutnya kita kena bagi dia faham konsep. Contohnya kalau 4 bahagi 2, dalam ayatnya adalah how many twos are in 4. Jadi dengan cara itu kita boleh nampak 4 tu bila dia bahagi 2, dapat 2. Sama je dengan setengah tadi. Kalau 4 dibahagi dengan setengah, how many half are in 4? Jadi kalau kita buat dalam bentuk gambar macam ni, kita akan dapat jawapannya adalah 8. So konsep 4 bagi setengah adalah macam ni, bukan just hafal. Mungkin kalau dia faham konsep, nak memastikan dia betul-betul lancar dalam melaksanakan pengiraan tersebut, boleh ada dia hafal prosedur tadi, tapi bagi dia faham konsep dulu. So kita ambil peluang untuk memastikan our students they really get the concept, especially in mathematics. And then yang keempat tadi, inquiry based education. So dalam pembelajaran secara inquiry ni, kita nak bagi budak tu timbul persoalan, and then dia explore untuk dapat jawapan kepada persoalan tadi. Sebagai contoh, kalau dalam keadaan ribut, kita ribut mungkin melalui satu kawasan perumahan, bumbung akan tercabut. Jadi persoalannya adalah, kenapa bila angin kuat macam tu bumbung tercabut? Jadi dari situ barulah kita akan pergi kepada konsep prinsip Bernoulli. Kalau kita terus saja cakap, okey, hari ini kita akan belajar tentang prinsip Bernoulli, ini yang menyebabkan murid jadi kurang berminat dan dia tak nampak apa kaitan dengan kehidupan sebenar. Dan kita menggunakan model 5E dalam nak melaksanakan ni. So bila dah tak terlalu risau dengan exam, kita boleh fokus kepada 5E, engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate, di mana we engage our students to want to learn about something, and then we ask them to explore, and then they can, after they have explored, they can explain their answers, and then with that knowledge that they have gained, they can elaborate further, and then the evaluation can be done formatively and also summatively. So that's it for now from me. Sebagai ringkasannya, sebagai summary-nya, dalam pelaksanaan pendidikan STEM ni memang kita ada cabaran, di mana kita nak our students explore, buat aktiviti learning by doing dan sebagainya, tapi kita tertekan ataupun tersekat dengan keperluan untuk menyediakan murid berperusahaan. Tapi bila berlakunya pandemik COVID-19 ini, especially tahun ini tidak ada perbezaan UPSR dan BD3, maka kita ambil peluang ni untuk melaksanakan apa yang sepatutnya dilaksanakan supaya anak-anak murid kita betul-betul dapat memahami konsep dan betul-betul dapat belajar ilmu yang sepatutnya mereka belajar. Okay, that's it for now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ihsan. Terima kasih banyak, Dr. Yep. So wonderful sharing from Dr. himself.
Okay. Yep. Let me do it now.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. And thank you again, Doctor. So attendees do share. Do like. Give Doctor a like. This on Facebook, right? Okay, and also to Dr. Sumitra as well just now. I'm sorry that I missed this out. Do give Dr. Sumitra a like as well. Yeah, and also some love. All right, so yeah, so I'll just proceed to check out some question on Slido. Okay, and also to the audience and also attendees, if you have any question when you post on Slido, just do direct to who you want to direct to the speakers to. Yep. Okay, so let's check out a few other questions we have on Slido. Okay, so we have 3 more new questions. So the next one is, does MOE believe that future assessment will be based on online assessment instead of paper-based examination? So I'll open up to the two, one from MOE.
I think, assessment should not be looked into just one aspect. Assessment should be looked into the holistic aspect of the learner. So that is why we introduced the so-called the holistic assessment of the student, pelaporan pentaksiran murid. Yeah. So so you have to look into the cognitive part, and then look into the affective part of the students. You look into the psychomotor of the students. So these are the things that you need to look into. But if you look into only for the, from online, so then online does not measure all of it.
Exactly.
I'll give you an example of socialism. When the students socialize, how does, technology would like to, assess that? How to socialize, how to greet people, how to make good things. So these are the things I think system cannot, unless that the system is very, very intelligent enough.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, I believe it should be in that way too as well. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. These ideas suit upper primary, secondary, and tertiary students. How about lower primary and kindergarten students? I'm not too sure which idea is he referring to. It didn't state here. Okay, probably we can just move on. What data does MOE have on the success of STEM subject introduced at Form 1 ASK that's supposed to promote STEM education in the country? So I think probably Dr. Ihsan, would you be able to answer this? What data?
Sorry, say again.
What data? Would you be able to see my screen?
No.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Hang on now. Just do a screen share. Okay. So yeah, this question. What data does MOE have on the success of STEM subject introduced at Form 1 level that's supposed to promote STEM education in our country?
Oh, okay. Data. At the moment, we don't have data yet, but the data that can answer this is the number of students, who are taking the subject, and as well as maybe in terms of their skills they gain from taking that subject. But at the moment, Ustaz Sam Negara don't have that yet.
Yep. Okay, understand. All right. So I'll leave the question here first. We move on to the next speaker. Thank you very much, Tuan Sofian, also Dr. Ihsan. Thank you. Okay. All right. So now we move on to our fourth speaker of the day. All right. So we have Mr. Anthony, CEO of MITstem International School and also MITstem.com, who will share with us his insights on how STEM plays a vital role for the current situation and how we can reduce the digital divide gap with CSR. So let's give light to Mr. Anthony.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for tuning in. It's a pleasure to have you guys. I will go very
Share your screen first, sir.
All right. So as I mentioned earlier on, as you can see my screen as well, STEM education plays a vital role, like AI used to combat COVID-19. The first person with Wuhan coronavirus is being tested by a robot, example. Scientists and doctors at MIT are building an innovative low-cost ventilator for coronavirus patients. And Italian hospitals save COVID-19 patients' lives thanks to 3D printed valves. So how can Edtech help leapfrog progress in education? Some of you, I think you've heard of this, but maybe I'll just share. We're using the SAMR model, SAMR model. This framework focuses on use of technology education in 4 ways. Substitution, that can be taught in substituting an analog method, such as quiz on paper with digital versions. Augmentation applies on improvement of functions such as automatically graded worksheets, freeing up teachers' time. Modification allows students using geographical information system, mapping technology to transform and display census data in social study cases. Redefinition means that use of technology creates an experience that was previously inconceivable. As you can see the chart on my right here, private sector covers 40% of EdTech innovations and NGOs another 46%. That's why MITstem, we have our MOOC, our international school, and also we have our MITstem, our NGO, our foundation as well. Compelling EdTech developments and why are they important? Adaptive learning and what are the few areas they're looking for? Like example, adaptive learning, student collaboration tools, device and internet access for all, I think which Dr. Sumitra has mentioned earlier on, and also our MOE, Dr. Tuan Sofian, and also Dr. Ihsan. As you can see, augmented and virtual reality will be the next area as well that we're going to look into, because there is the way that we're going to learn via augmented and virtual reality to see the actual physical things. Gamification involving as well, virtual labs and virtual time. As you can see currently right now, we're even using virtual machines as well that we're running using virtual labs and virtual time. Online tools and virtual reality. We have school learning management system, LMS, learning management system. We have blockchain, and also these are information that we get from Forbes as well. So blockchain is another area that you can look into for just not only for certification as well, but also for projects, for information, everything that will be stored in the blockchain as well. Next area, coronavirus has exposed the digital divide like never before. So this is the problem with online learning that we actually face as well. As you can see, the digital divide is even more, as I think already mentioned by Tuan Sofian as well, that people do not really have devices, 36%. That's alarming rate. People who are in the city, dalam bandar, 36%. We also are reducing digital divide gap through CSR and DSR. As you can see, a lot of them are in this area in this pandemic as well, that the CSR and the DSR will be the most important area that we look into, especially with corporate social responsibility. And 2020 budget in Malaysia, we have DSR, digital social responsibility. So with the CSR and DSR, is to close the digital divide gap, and we encourage companies that we're reaching out to as well to work together. And we're working together with MOE as well in this department, whereby they have the department in MOE that helps companies together to come on board with this to help the people out there. Besides that, we, MITstem, will do our part as well, study and learn online. We're giving COVID-19 300 free access from 4th April to 30th June. You can click after this for the link. They will share the link in the registration later. That you can click on this, MITstem.com, and from there, you can actually register free access for students as well. For this period of time that we're doing our part to give to the public. Our corporate and social responsibility program that we do, our objective is to reduce digital divide gap and overcome STEM learning challenges in international schools to create experts for the future. Digital social responsibility, corporate social responsibility that we're looking at. So as you can see here, the STEM programs that we cover, like example, electronics and programming using Arduino, AutoCAD and 3D printing as well. We have Fanuc in terms of robotics. We have MacLab in terms of training systems, drone piloting and programming, and web and app development. So these are 6 key areas that we look for. And why are we teaching these 6 key areas? It's because we are preparing them to the road to world skills. If you've heard of world skills is like the Olympics of skills competition that you can see for all these technologies that we're talking about. So these technologies will prepare the young ones, especially K to 12, because Malaysia has started even junior world skills below the age of 15 to actually join these programs, to do these programs so that they're able to go for the road to world skills. And Malaysia, as we are proud to represent our flag, to help people as well to go towards this area. Our program for the CSR, for companies who wants to join in this CSR program, is we are training them, we are training the teachers. It's a TTT program, train the trainers program or teachers, to design them the equipment for technical and practical knowledge. This covers STEM pedagogical approach, which guides students to examine problems from all angles. And we're using our learning management system, our LMS. In this particular LMS, we're looking for both area in terms of asynchronous type of training and synchronous type of training. So with asynchronous type of training, there's a lot of videos, a lot of coursework, and all the information are already there. So they'll be able to actually get information. Plus, the synchronous type of training as well we're putting in is for them to have live teacher training. Live teachers will be there, live trainers will be there during this time. This is a little bit of my profile, so you can actually take a look and try to contact me as well. You can screenshot this information and you can WhatsApp some of these numbers. So this is all from my side itself that we'd like to share. But before I end, I would just like to show on this area. Just give me a moment. Okay. Okay. We'll stop sharing. Okay. So, Jerry, I'll hand it over back to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. Yes, yeah, so you have talked about the STEM who's combating in this situation, the importance of STEM to learn. Yep, and also definitely on the CSR part that you've been doing. All right, so thank you very much. And so we'll hit, yeah, do give Mr. Anthony a like on Facebook, and also, yeah, and also love as well. Yes, yep, so give some love. All right, so the next speaker I would like to introduce is Mr. Ganesh Kumar Bangah, who is the immediate past chairman of PIKOM. So he will share with us insights of him and his point of views on the current situation.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for waiting.
My pleasure.
All right, so I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Ganesh.
Sure. Do you see the deck?
Not yet.
No?
I think we have to wait for a while.
Yes.
Yes, now we can see. Yep.
Better?
Yes, clear.
Yeah, so I would like to just touch a bit about innovation and how COVID actually has been a catalyst to innovation. Actually, we've been using the word disruption for many years now, but actually the biggest disruption to face the world in recent times is actually COVID. It's actually disrupted the way we live, and it actually has a positive impact on the digital industry, as mentioned, I think, by Dr. Sumi earlier. So I'd like to share a bit of some stats in Malaysia when it comes to innovation and STEM as well. So we actually have a reduction in STEM students from 48% to 44% between 2012 and 2018. Now, at the same time, Malaysia's global ranking for competitiveness has also dropped as well to 27 from 25th in 2019. Now, SME contribution to the country's GDP is about 38%, but employs 2/3 of the working population. And R&D spending as a percentage of GDP in Malaysia is actually under 2% compared to Japan, USA, Scandinavia countries, which is closer to 3%. Because of this, our productivity per employee is actually still low. Now, whereas I think most of the other speakers have talked a bit from the educational perspective, I'm coming in from an industry perspective to give a bit of a view of how Malaysia has been historically before the COVID crisis when it comes to our talent and basically talent in industry. Now, and if you look at all these issues, actually, the biggest issue stems from the reduction in STEM students. Now, what's the solution? Now, my belief is the solution actually starts from the mind. Now, I think Tuan Sofian earlier mentioned about the infrastructure that the government has invested in schools over the last 10, even 20 years. Actually, 1995, I think CIE was implemented. I was still a school student then, I still remember, right? But if you look at a lot of these implementations to date, a lot of the implementation was actually based on infrastructure. And after infrastructure, we try to do a bit of talent feeding now, or knowledge feeding. Now, but infrastructure and knowledge feeding only takes you a certain level. But to actually reach the next level, we actually have to change our mind, and we need to move our mindset from a fixed mindset to an innovation mindset. Now, what's the difference between fixed and innovation? Now, if you look at a fixed mindset, our belief is skills, intelligence, abilities are genetic. You are not in control of your abilities. You cannot learn and grow. For example, the Warriors, which is an NBA basketball team, has the most talented athletes on the team. That's why they're 3-time NBA champions. Now, with the innovation mindset, which is what we need to move, basically we believe, or with the innovation mindset, skills, intelligence, and abilities are built. Essentially, you are in control of your abilities. You can actually learn and grow over time. I think Dr. Sumi mentioned lifelong learning. The innovation mindset, or the growth mindset as is known in the Silicon Valley, actually is another term to actually define lifelong learning. And with the innovation mindset, the Warriors must have trained hard to become an unstoppable team. So they succeeded not because they were good, but they succeeded because they trained to be good. And that's the mindset that we need among the talent in our industry today. And we hope that the education system that we have can actually produce that kind of talent, which is what the industry needs today. Now, the focus of the fixed mindset, of course, is performance outcome, and the perception of not looking bad drive you. When it comes to innovation mindset, the process and journey drive you. You strive to get better each day. Now, what's the difference between these two? Essentially, in the old days, you may not want to try something new because if you fail, your boss will scold you. And because of that, you are fixed to your normal way of doing things. Whereas with the innovation mindset, it doesn't matter. You still want to try things, because it's the journey that's important. As you try new things, you learn new things. As you learn new things, you actually become better. And if you then implement that in today's COVID environment, you see that the people that are actually succeeding are those with the innovation mindset. Let me give you an example. Retailers today. The retailers today that are still surviving are those that are selling online. E-commerce over the last 3 to 4 months have actually grown 300%. So if you're e-commerce with retail experience, you would not have been as hard hit as compared to a retailer that's not on e-commerce. Now, I can guarantee you that that retailer that's actually sells on e-commerce actually has that innovation mindset, because they learned before the COVID crisis to actually how to sell online. Because they did that earlier, they are now leaders in the field. And again, I move back, as we actually train our students, is not just the talent or the infrastructure in the school that's important, or the skills that we teach in the schools is important. It's very important for us in the schools to actually develop that innovation or growth mindset. Now, the fundamental base to that is belief and focus set the foundation for ability to learn and grow as people. Now, if we were hit with the COVID crisis and we have a strong mind and we believe that we could survive, then even those that were not selling online, retailers that were not selling online, could actually learn how to sell online and focus on it and succeed as well. Now, you may be asking, how does this then link to our students, our education system? Well, our education system needs to be one that actually trains our students to have an innovation mindset. It mustn't train our students to have a fixed mindset. 20, 30 years ago, we train our students to mark. We train our students to memorize. Today, that won't work anymore because that's disrupted. Today, we need to teach our students to think. We need to teach our students to use their intellect to control and grow their mind. And I think it's very important for us to inculcate this in our school systems, especially with the current COVID crisis, is because if we had students that have the innovation mindset, they will be today succeeding and doing better than those with a fixed mindset, because they will be able to learn new things and actually acculturate themselves quicker to the new normal. Now again, this is Steve Jobs on innovation. Now, innovation actually distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Now, the difference between a leading country today is one that those are already innovating. Look at China. They were worst hit by the crisis, but today they're recovering the fastest because they have a strong online economy. Go back 10, 20 years when SARS hit China, what happened? That was when Alibaba hit its inflection point. Alibaba started hitting its inflection point when SARS actually happened in that country. The same thing COVID will do to the e-commerce industry or the online industry here. And it's very important for our talent in Malaysia then to have that innovation mindset, because that will then differentiate our country from becoming a leader or a follower. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right now, if I can, let me just talk a bit more on it. And actually, if you look at a lot of, teachings over the last thousands of years, you will actually find that a lot of these teachings taught teachers to actually develop our intellect, because our intellect is able to control the mind. It's very important for us to develop the intellect so that our mind can be in check, and then we can fully utilize the mind. You look at one of the sayings from thousands of years ago: control the mind, control the world. In a disruptive effect, or in a disruptive environment that the coronavirus has actually given to the country, it's very important for us, if we are to succeed as a country, as an organization, as an individual, to have a strong intellect that controls the mind. Now, unfortunately, our education system historically, maybe now it's improved, but historically, our education system has never actually taught us to control the mind, has never actually taught us to develop the intellect. Our education system actually has just taught us intelligence. Now you may ask, what's the difference between intelligence and an intellect? Now, intelligence is what we learn from external sources. Intellect is what we develop ourselves through our thought and our thinking and our rational mind. So it's very important for us then to actually develop our intellect, because if we are able to develop our intellect and we are able to actually train our students to develop our intellect, then whatever come may, whether it's coronavirus, whether it's Heineken virus, we will still survive. Right? So, so it's very important for us then to focus on that. And I think if we go back to what has been invested in infrastructure, etc., infrastructure today is given. Everybody has access online because everybody has a mobile phone. Right? Today, I've seen tuition teachings actually happening on the mobile phone. So infrastructure today is given. Knowledge is widely available. You can go online, you can search for whatever you want and you'll find knowledge on it. You can search for whatever books you need online, you will find it online, most of the time free. So then what differentiates a successful student or successful talent versus a not successful talent is actually how we process what we learn and how we use that infrastructure. If we use the infrastructure for good and we process what we learn for good, then we will be successful. And so it's very important that our education system actually trains our students how to develop that skill of using the intellect to control and grow the mind, to ensure that we build a talent pool in the future that will not only be able to sustain the coronavirus, but any other disruption that we may face in the future.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ganesh. Yes, wonderful sharing. Awesome. There's a lot of note taken there. Yep. All right. So the keyword there, innovation. All right. Very deep down inside. All right, guys. So for those of you who actually miss it, the whole session of this, we're gonna have a recording session. Gonna be posted on the MITstem International School Facebook page. Yep. All right. So let's head up to some questions. Okay. So let's move on. Let me share my screen first. Okay. So some of the recent questions that we have is okay, we'll take this first question. How to reduce the digital gap in history learning? We don't have big data related on Malaysian history. Wow. I believe this is related to Tuan Sofian himself.
I'm sorry, I'm very difficult to understand the question.
Yes.
Reduce the digital gap in history learning. What does it mean? Big data related to Malaysian history.
Exactly. How to reduce the digital gap in history learning? I'm not too sure what does this question mean as. So probably you can just move on and move on to the next question. My school is lacking of facilities to create and conducive technology-based lessons. Can Digital Maker help us to set a hub to help our students? This is, I believe, Dr. Sumitra.
Okay, so the question is.
This is the one.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely advise you. So we actually have online a playbook on how to set up a digital maker space, and it provides not just one of the components that should be inside, but also access to some of our partners, because we do work with a wide range of ecosystem partners. These are education technology companies and solution providers. So we can certainly guide you, not an issue.
All right, awesome. Okay, thank you, Doctor. Yeah, we also have the next question, which is to yourself as well. MDEC seems active in public school sector. How could private education sector, like schools and enrichment providers, tech individuals, work with MDEC?
Yeah, we we have a wide, as I mentioned, we have a wide range of ecosystem partners. If I can suggest, perhaps Elizabeth can visit our website, mydigitalmaker.com. And in there, you'll find the whole range of initiatives that we have, many of which are available to private schools, such as competitions, as well as access to teacher training and so on. And we also have a whole network of digital maker hubs, which are run by private sector or NGOs. So when you say enrichment providers, if you have a center that has facilities or classes that you offer to children on digital innovation or creativity, you can also join the network, and be part of the activities that we do. So I think first step, just go to our website, mydigitalmaker.com, and also follow us on social media, and you'll see all the programs that you can access.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, so the next question we have is from Arpan Rapai. So, are there any AI and coding interactive courses for high schools teaching math and coding? Sorry.
Yes, there are many actually right now, and more as we speak. So what I would suggest is, when the COVID started, MDEC launched a digital versus COVID campaign, and if you go to the MDEC website, you'll see a long list of online learning platforms, including those which have courses on coding and AI.
Yeah, I believe MITstem do offer that courses through MDEC as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there you go, MITstem, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How about referring to the MOEs from the MOE?
I think we are working together with MDEC on this, especially on the development of the modules, Sumitra. But actually now we don't know how many of them actually are using it. So that is a problem to us.
Yeah. So we've also developed videos. So, and these are on YouTube. So if you follow My Digital Maker, you'll see them on YouTube. And they are video tutorials, So for example, if the teacher herself is not very comfortable or familiar with teaching coding, or anything that's related to computer science and so on, they can just refer to these videos and follow the videos. They are like lesson by lesson. And they are they're in line with the national school curriculum as well.
I see. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Tuan Sofian, and also Dr. Sumitra. Okay, so we do also have like a poll question here, whereby should company and corporates be involved in reducing digital divide and STEM challenges in the national schools through corporate and digital social responsibility? Speakers, would you like to give your thoughts on this question itself?
Maybe I'll take it as somebody from the corporate sector.
Yes, sir.
So I think definitely corporates should contribute back through digital social responsibility. I think there are a few ways to do it. I think Dr. Sumi mentioned it in the slides, which are quite relevant. Could be donating old computers, for example, or computers that the corporates don't need anymore to the schools, because we know that schools do need computers sometimes. And then, of course, speaking at the schools to inspire students to actually take up IT courses and to take up the skills that are needed for the future. The 10 skills, I think that was mentioned several times by the speakers, would be another way that we could actually contribute back from the industry or from the corporate sector to the education system as well. It actually becomes a cyclical loop, right?
Yeah.
Right. So as our talent grows, we generate talent that actually goes out to the industry, that creates the industry of the future. Then we need these future industry leaders to come back to train the future industry leaders as well. So it's actually very important that that corporates and the industry actually go back to the education system to make sure that they contribute back, to ensure that then the talent can actually come back and contribute to them as well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
If I may just add to that,
Yeah,
Jerry,
sure.
I think Ganesh made several good points.
Yeah.
I also wanted to share that some of the corporations out there, what they do is they even go as far as helping to train teachers. You know, because I mean, we all want to make sure that the teachers who are teaching are well equipped. And so, of course, the Ministry of Education does their training, but if we want them to be really exposed to the current thinking and the current tools, it's good for companies to go in directly. So we do have several big tech companies, even mid-sized ones, not just big tech, that offer workshops for teachers. So that's another form of CSR or DSR.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
what I would like to add also, Sumitra, I mean, we talk about the One Malaysia Netbook initiative. I mean, the USP fund is always there, to help MOE, because that fund basically it comes from the corporate and from the business. These are the things where I think we can make use of that fund.
Yeah, I believe our ministries are in discussion about how we can address some of the needs right now given COVID. So USP is under MCMC, which is an MDEC sister agency. So it's not under the organization I work for. But yeah, I believe there are conversations going on between the ministries right now as we speak.
Yep. Right. Thank you very much, speakers. Yes. Anything you would like to add on, Mr. Anthony and Dr. Ihsan himself?
I think there's some more other questions maybe you can answer as well. Maybe a few more, since some people are still online.
Are they posting?
Yeah, there is one question just now I saw about the success factor of Asas Science Computer, the basic computer science offered in school. There is one question there.
Yes, ASK. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it once?
Yeah. So I think that question is very pertinent in the sense that if Mr. Ganesh was asking about whether our students are really going for the technology subjects, I think they are. We see that at more than half of our schools, our secondary schools, are offering basic computer science. And but then we cannot force all the schools to take computer science simply because the infrastructure is not there. So that is why one of the reason why schools are not offering computer science subject or science computer is because of the lack of computers,
Exactly.
then they cannot have that access. Yeah. But then if you have more than half of our schools, which is 1,200 over, that would be very good, actually.
So I believe that's where the CSR and DSR plays a very important role to come in this part. Yep. So actually to reduce this digital divide gap and also the STEM challenges that we are going through. Yep. Okay. Yes. Any add-ons from the speakers? Because I think we have passed the time as well. Okay.
Maybe we can take one or two more questions if people are still here as well.
Let me check if there is questions on Slido.
There's one to Mr. Ganesh, I think.
Yes, I just saw. Hang on, I'll just share my screen to check it out. Yes, Mr. Ganesh. So you mentioned about the e-commerce is now 300% increase.
I think that's a general statement, but their brands that are actually selling online, they have seen a 300% increase over the last 3 to 4 months.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was so they're basically e-commerce merchants out there that has seen that increase, not general across the board. I think across the board maybe 140% year on year, but certain sectors which, for example, don't sell offline anymore, just sell online, has seen a 300% increase.
Yeah. So yeah,
So just if I can just add there on the e-commerce one, because we work closely with Ganesh as well as other e-commerce partners on training companies on digital marketing and social media marketing and so on. So if you are looking, if there are people on the call who are looking to learn how do you actually do digital marketing, social media marketing and so on, please do visit again our website. In MDEC's website, you'll find there are links, particularly look for Go E-commerce. Go E-commerce is our online learning platform for people who want to learn about e-commerce and e-commerce skills, to sell your products online.
All right, so yep, you hear that? It's Go E-commerce. Yep.
Yes,
okay.
That's right.
All right. So I think that concludes our session here today. So before it comes to an end, I would like to thank all the speakers once again for your time and for your wonderful insights. I believe this has clarified a lot and also have given a lot of ideas to the people out there. Yep. So before we wrap this thing up, so I would like to just share with you how do you actually get the feedback. Yep. The feedback, I'll share with you how can you get the slides. So it will be okay. So do share us your feedback on the webinar and also do let us know what the topics you'd like to hear in future. All right. So the feedback form link is bit.ly/MITstem feedback. So we will share you the slides upon filling up the form. All right. So that's all for hearers today. Thank you so much once again, speakers, and to the attendees. Thank you so much for your time and have a safe day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Good
much.
weekend. Selamat berbuka puasa.
Yeah, thank you.